It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. You're gonna need it if you want to review Sailor Moon Crystal as an adaptation of the original manga. Hello, my name is CJ, and welcome to my review of Episode 30, Infinity 4, Haruka Tenno, Michiru Kaio, Sailor Uranus, Sailor Neptune. Man, what is up with these titles? Let's get started with the good. Alright, so I laughed out loud when Sailor Neptune started playing her violin as an attack, because when I read the manga as a child, for whatever reason, I imagined that scene as her playing like this sort of haunting, like dark melody, like full of like minor tones that would like play with your mind and like confuse you. And here they interpreted it as like a screeching violin, like a supernatural screeching violin, which I was totally fine with. I actually thought that was a positive adaptation. So that was really funny to me, though. I just absolutely started bursting out laughing unintentionally, and I don't mean that as like necessarily a bad thing. Another good thing, the shared dream that Mamoru and Usagi had was, it was done perfectly. I was super worried because the first two seasons, or rather the first season of Sailor Moon Crystal, had a really hard time keeping secrets. There is an absolutely abysmal example in the Black Moon arc where Chibiusa is remembering how her parents were back in the 30th century, and before we're supposed to know that Usagi and Mamoru are her future parents, they straight up show, like, Neo Queen Serenity and King, Endymion! Like, it's, oh my gosh, it was just inexcusable. So here, you know, they don't straight up show Princess Serenity, which was, oh, thank you. That was great. In fact, really, you could only tell that it actually was Princess Serenity when you clicked the pause button. I mean, if you didn't click that pause button, you maybe could have told by, you maybe could have been able to tell by, like, the cuffs of her dress that were shown, but I mean, it was very hard. And even if you did know it was Princess Serenity, you didn't know what the context was, because they're like, is this the deity of destruction? You know, so that was totally cool. Also, Sailor Mercury transforming as she fell out of the window into the pool. Instead of them showing this super long transformation sequence, they instead actually showed her literally transforming as she fell out of the window. I thought that was awesome, you know. I actually have always wanted that for Sailor Moon Crystal since the beginning. I've always wanted kind of like the manga transformation where they just kind of throw their hands up in the air and go, you know, I don't know, moon, crystal power, and then they just immediately transform. But I understand why people like the transformations. It's been a huge thing about Sailor Moon. I mean, even people who aren't anime fans know about the transformations, and I understand why people care about them. So honestly, while I really did like this, you know, if they don't go forward with this sort of unique sort of take on transformations, I will not mind. But it was nice to see for the time being. And also, speaking of awesome things, that space sword blaster, is it? Okay, hold on. Let me see really quick. Okay, yeah, it is Space Sword Blaster. I don't know why I think of it as Space Sword Buster, but whatever. That attack was great. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was really cool. The animation was great. You know, I could feel the weight of the power of the attack. That's really like a big criticism I've had of Sailor Moon Crystal for the longest time, is that I feel like I can't feel, like, the weight of things, you know? They just don't feel like they're all that impactful, like, on a physical sort of sense. And this attack was just awesome. You know, it just completely decimated What's-Her-Face. I know what her name is. I didn't have to look it up. Yui Pito. No, that's her civilian name. I'm a real Sailor Moon fan, I promise. Please forgive me. Let's move on to a new category that I would like to put in these reviews. I like to call this the meh. This is sort of like a middle of the road, just me acknowledging adaptations, changes, decisions that I don't really think were all that good, but I don't really think were all that bad either. So we have Haruka and Michiru actually saving Ami from the Mugen students holding her and keeping her there, as her soul was being sucked out by a computer. It's pretty funny because, you know, actually a lot of interesting things I've noticed just rereading the manga and watching Sailor Moon Crystal is that Ami gets attacked by computers a lot. I mean, she really has a real reason not to like computers in Sailor Moon. And it also, the whole, like, mystical computer thing, like, you know, the obsession that villains have over computers is really a reflection of the time in which this manga was written. You know, computers were becoming this new popular thing, and so a lot of villains and a lot of heroes were using computers as sort of like almost magical devices. So it's interesting to see this anime still carry over that 90s mentality. But that being said, I got off track. So in the manga, Ami actually frees herself. Haruka and Michiru still fight off Mugen's students, but it is Ami who takes that stuff to free herself. So honestly, I didn't really see this as like a good or a bad change. I could see this as Toei deciding to just kind of, you know, get on with it, make the pacing a little bit better for the episode, but at the same time, I could see a lot of Sailor Mercury fans being kind of upset that Ami didn't free herself, especially because, I mean, this is a losing battle for Ami as it is, so it stinks that she didn't get that, but it's, you know, honestly, it's not that big of a deal, and that's why I put it in the mess section. Also, that ending with Chibiusa is absolutely adorable. Okay, can I just say that right now? It was super cute. The whole time I was like, oh, I was so happy. That being said, though, as an ending, it just is completely just outshined by that duet between Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune that we've had up until this point. It is a major downgrade. As a song and really just the animation of it in general. Like, I mean, here's the thing, right? Toei Animation has to realize at this point that the profiles, again, if you don't know what a profile is, it's when the characters are, their faces are shown to the camera like this. They know that their profiles aren't good. That's been one of the major complaints about the show. So why in the world would you have most of the ending be shown from Chibiusa's profile? Or rather, shown on her profile. That just does not make sense to me. Like, I just don't get it. Other than that, though, the ending was super, super cute, but again, it's a downgrade from what we've originally had, so I'll put this in the mess section. Let's get to the bad. Yes! All aboard the bad train! I hate Sailor Moon Crystal! No, I can't. You guys know by now that I just love this new season, so. That being said, this episode is still a very good episode. The past 4 episodes up until this point have been very good as well. So again, please do not take what I'm about to say as me absolutely hating this episode. So, Sailor Uranus uses World Shaking on the group at the concert hall. We immediately cut to the opening, and Usagi wakes up. What happened? In the manga, you can clearly see that World Shaking just completely took everybody out. There is no doubt in anybody's mind as to what happened. Here, it's kind of confusing. Like, why is Usagi just waking up in the control room with everybody? Like, what happened up until that point? Did, you know, Sailor Uranus and Neptune escape? Was Usagi the only one hit, and they just kind of dragged her lifeless body out of the theater? Like, what happened? That was a very, very confusing sort of edit. I didn't like that at all. You know, that's something that should have been updated from the manga, not downgraded. You know, that was super, super confusing. Also, the subtitles continue to be absolutely atrocious. So there's a certain line, I don't remember particularly which line it was, I'm going to put it up here, where they say that Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus protect the Sailor Millennium, not protected. Now, you might think, okay, CJ, you're nitpicking at this point. Like, we all know that the Silver Millennium happened, you know, before this point. We know it's in the past. It's pretty obvious by the way they're talking that this is something referring to the past. However, this is actually somewhat confusing. Like, imagine you're a new viewer and you are watching this, and you hear the word protect instead of protected, or rather read it. That gives the implication that Sailor Uranus and Neptune are kind of just ditching the jobs they're supposed to be doing right now. like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for a new viewer. They might even think that the Silver Millennium refers to the time that the characters are experiencing in the present day. So, I mean, that's gotta be confusing. And you know there's gonna be a lot of new viewers, there's gotta be rather, watching this new show, hearing from other Sailor Moon fans like, hey, or rather other anime fans that, hey, this new Sailor Moon season is awesome. And they're watching this, and they're reading these subtitles, and it's not just this scene, these subtitles kind of give a very awkward, sort of stilted feel to the dialogue. Now, fortunately, this is not going to be a problem that will progress for the rest of this series' lifetime. You know, eventually we will get updated subtitles, and this won't be a problem anymore. But as for now, you know, whoever's doing these, Toei, you know, a third-party company, get on it, fix this immediately, because this is a huge, huge issue. Also, in the manga version, the original story, that is, when Ami goes into the science lab, she sees the miniature universe, the miniature Tau system, that is, and, you know, they have that conversation about it. And in this version, Carrie Knight's like, you know, oh, that girl seems, like, kind of weird, and, like, whatever her name is like, oh, well, you know, I know that she's a sailor soldier because she was attracted to that little mini universe sitting in the science lab. Well, okay, I'm gonna clarify something for you all. I'm not a sailor soldier, but if I were to walk into that, like, science department, and I kind of just, like, you know, kind of glanced and saw, like, a mini universe sitting in a classroom, I would go in there too and check it out. Also, and, okay, we're hitting potentially controversial territory. Forgive me, guys. I really, really didn't like Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune's transformations. I thought they were pretty dull, pretty lackluster. You know, they're basically reskins of the original transformations, but in my opinion, remember what I was talking about before about, like, the space sword blaster attack or whatever, where I said I could really feel the weight of the actions? I don't feel the weight in these transformations. They look dull. You know, they don't look very, like, energetic. They're kind of lifeless compared to the originals. And it makes comparing them to the originals especially easier when they're literally just reskins of the originals. Also, and this is, like, a major, like, oversight, I think. So, a lot of you guys might not know this, but the reason why in the original anime, Sailor Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto get that, like, sort of lip gloss effect is because their transformation rods were originally sold as toys in the 90s anime. And wouldn't you know, they were lip gloss rods, where you can take a little wand out and dab a little lip gloss on. So those transformations were references to the lip gloss. So when, you know, young girls went out and bought those rods, they were like, oh, yeah, put the lip gloss on, you know? It's like, I'm just like Sailor Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, you know? That's what that was all about. So here in Sailor Moon Crystal, you don't have the rods anymore because it's an adaptation of the manga, and the manga, they don't have the rods. But they still have the lip gloss effect. So they're paying, like, a sort of homage to the original anime without realizing why that was in the original anime in the first place. Yeah, that's not good. Overall, I give this episode a solid B. I would have given it a B+ for that awesome decision just to have Mercury's transformation just be this quick little thing as she jumped out the window, because I thought that was great. You know, it definitely helped with the pacing of the episode. But I gotta bring it down a little bit for that Uranus and Neptune transformation. I mean, that was just not as good. And their speeches, actually, I didn't mention this before, but their speeches were super lackluster, too. Especially there were some framing issues where, you know, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus do that little pose or whatever at the end of their speeches, and it just kind of looks poorly framed. I mean, I'm just looking at this image here, and, I mean, Sailor Uranus is kind of placed awkwardly toward the bottom-ish, and I don't know, it doesn't really look right to me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't liked and subscribed already and would like to do so, that would be great. Also, I started a Patreon page just last week. This Patreon is to help me continue to make these videos as I enter school again. I'm not going to have as much time to work, so I won't really be able to afford financially some of the things I buy for this channel. So if you like my videos and you want to support me, great. If you can't support me, that is totally fine too. I appreciate every single one of you guys, seriously. I mean, you guys have brought such joy to my life, and I love making these reviews. It's so awesome to see your comments. Speaking of comments, if I missed anything in this episode and you want to point it out, please do so below. I love reading your comments. Another thing is, and I do want to clarify this, I clarified this a little bit last week, I don't read any reviews or any comments going into these reviews, so I am almost guaranteed to miss stuff. So again, please comment down below, and if I mess something up or if I miss something really big and significant, I will comment on it next week. Thanks again for watching this video. I cannot wait for the next episode. This is CJ, signing off.